Hello and welcome to the Runna podcast. Today we had an incredible exclusive episode with Olympian Rory Linkletter, fresh off the finish line of Chicago Marathon, after going after the Canadian record in a time of 2 hours and 6 minutes. That's a pace of 2:50 per kilometre. We spoke to him about how to train and recover like an elite athlete, what it really takes, the sacrifices and the secrets of the sport. We get an exclusive race debrief of how it went. Let's get into the episode. Hey Rory, how are you feeling after Chicago Marathon?
I'm feeling like I ran a marathon yesterday, that's for sure. Very tired, had a late night, early morning yesterday, obviously an all-out effort, so
yeah,
exhausted.
There's a lot to talk about and we'll get into that. But I want us to start at the beginning and how you found running, or if running found you. Take us back to day one.
Yeah, I feel like it's a pretty common story. I'm not sure how many listeners started running in high school or whatnot, but for me, it was beginning was high school, right? So growing up, I did every stick and ball sport you could imagine. Here in North America, I played hockey. I'm from Canada. I played baseball. I played basketball. I played American football. And those were kind of my loves and passions, and still kind of are to this day. I'm a big sports fan in general. And when I got to high school, grade 9, I was basically like, I'm not good enough at any of these sports to continue to pursue them, but I'd like to continue to pursue sport in some capacity. And I had a friend that was going to do cross country, which is kind of everyone's introduction to the sport if they start at a younger age, right?
Yeah.
And so I jumped into cross country, and I wasn't like love at first sight with running. It was just basically like, oh, this is something I'm going to try. And first few months wasn't particularly strong at it, and just kind of chugged along because of friends, and got competitive with myself, and kind of progressed naturally as anyone would, and found the love of the sport after a few years of doing it like that.
Yeah, you said that like you didn't think you were good enough at the other sports to continue doing them. Is that because you've always been competitive? Like, was it always about performance?
I would say so. Yes. It was always kind of part of me, that my identity, that I really wanted to be like excellent at a sport. I wanted to be a professional athlete since I was 4 years old. I kid you not. It was hockey at first because, again, growing up in Canada, that's the sport. Once I wasn't all that good at skating, that was clearly not going to be my path. And then I tried a little bit of everything else. And again, as you grow up, you kind of realize, like, if you're not exceptional at something, you're probably going to be done. And it's not that I was hedging my bets and be like, oh, I'm going to be a professional and Olympic marathoner one day or something. No, I just kind of like fell into running, and I did become hyper competitive with it. And there was always a new target to search after. At first, it was, can I be one of the fastest guys at my school? Can I be one of the fastest guys in the state? Can I be one of the fastest guys in the country? So on and so forth.
But you said you weren't a natural, like running didn't just come naturally to you. Did you enjoy putting in the work even back then?
Yeah, I think I've always been like a, small but mighty, like, effort person. When I was little, I was like an extremely little kid. Like when I entered high school, I was a foot smaller than I am right now. So this little kid with full of energy, kind of trying to prove himself, chip on the shoulder. And yeah, I loved that running was the first thing I ever did that strictly rewarded effort, and everything else kind of rewards talent and skill and things that are a little less in your control, but you can always control your effort and your attitude. And those are two things that I think I have: pretty good effort, pretty good attitude.
Were your family ever like, no, you can't be a professional athlete, stop being so silly? Or did they let you pursue that?
Yeah, so my mom was very supportive of my sports my entire life, definitely encouraging of that. And my dad was a very competitive hockey player, loved sports as well. So I always had support to pursue sport, and sport was kind of a big part of our family life. But running, none of my family's runners. Like, there's no other runners in my family. My brother ended up running after me, my younger brother, but it was kind of a new thing, and nobody in our family still to this day has picked up running. So there's kind of this naivete, and like nobody really understands it but me. But I kind of like that, kind of separate, what I do from the people that I know, and they can just be proud and excited for very simple things that I'm doing.
Yeah, I think I'm a bit like that. Like, it's like my thing.
Yeah.
And my brother's really good at everything else, so I really hone in on running. When did you realize that you were good at it?
I would say the second year I was doing it. So grade 10 of high school, I started to compete at a level that was indicative of maybe I'm going to do this at the next level. And for people growing up in North America, that is university, right? So I'm in high school sports, which is a big deal in Utah at the time. Mm-hmm. And I'm competing at a high level in the state of Utah and start to get some attention from big universities as like, this could be an opportunity for me. And once that goal became apparent, then that was all I fixated on for the next several years. Like, I've got to get a scholarship. I've got to go to university and run just to continue this dream. And so that was kind of the dangling carrot. And there's been new carrots all along the road.
Yeah. Was that still cross country, or had you...
And track. Cross country and track. Yes.
Did you ever consider the marathon at that point?
Oh, no. I mean, I did road races from a young age for fun in the summers. Like, that was like a big thing in Utah, was to do a summer road race just for cross country training. So I think I might have done a 10K in high school once or twice, but the marathon was still very distant to me.
So you were being very successful at high school. You went to like college, then you started competing against probably better athletes. Mm-hmm. When did you step foot into like the national kind of world?
Yeah. So at BYU, which is where I went to university, which is kind of a marathon university now at this point. In North America, you have me, Clayton Young, and Conner Mantz, kind of three of the better North Americans. We were all teammates at BYU. And BYU kind of has, even before us, a history of marathoners that did well. Coach Eystone was a two-time Olympian in the marathon. Jared Ward, who finished right before us, was an Olympic marathoner for the U.S. So I kind of, when I got to BYU, that's when the marathon entered my brain, right? Because I had this coach, I had these people around me that I could see having success in this event. And I immediately was drawn to kind of it's a romantic event. It seems really cool. And for me, the success at BYU started to come in the sense of like competing for, again, similar to when I got to high school. I was worst on the team, working up the ladder, and then eventually, started to have the success where I could see myself on a national level. I made NCAAs as a redshirt freshman, which is second year of school. First year, I didn't compete at all. And that was when you make NCAAs, you're basically, that's one of the hardest meets in the world to get to that isn't like a world championship or a Olympic trials, so to speak. But that was when I was like, I could probably do this on a national scale now. Mm-hmm.
Do you think it helped not being the best? Did you enjoy putting in the work?
I think being at the bottom of a totem pole is humbling and good for anyone. So I would always encourage people to take the step up to the next bigger pond. And I feel like those ponds are never ending. That it just keeps getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
Even with where I've gotten and how far I've come, it feels like there's so many more levels to go before I can even see the top, right? It's very, very helpful to always acknowledge that there's someone faster, someone better, someone that's got more experience, someone that's got it more figured out than you, and be motivated by that, not discouraged. And just I get my competitive juices flow by beating people. And so when there's someone that is directly in front of me as a challenger, that's what gets the most out of me.
So knowing Clayton Young and Conner Mantz, you don't see them as rivals, even though you were racing against them and you still are now?
I see Clayton more as a rival because it's more of a even. I feel like we're on the same level right now. Whereas I honestly, out of respect for Conner, I would love to be his rival, but I've got to make some jumps. He's kind of swimming in the pond above me right now. He's able to compete for top fives at these majors. I've gotten 2 top 10s now, which is, I'm honestly thrilled about that, but I'd love to make that next leap to be a little closer towards the front of these big races. So Clayton and Conner are both, obviously, they kind of set the standard for North American distance running a couple of years ago with the runs that they had in 2023 here in Chicago and 2024 at the U.S. Olympic Trials and then the Olympics. They were 8th and 9th place at the Olympics, top finishers from North America. And that's when like the fire was lit under me that I needed to start chasing those guys. They were the standard at the time. And I feel like 2025 now, a year later, I've leveled up my game and I'm now closer to their level.
So you think it's helpful kind of having them in your life, like to admire and work towards?
Absolutely. I think it helps seeing people that you have close relation to or can relate to in some way, right? It's a lot harder to look at Jacob Kaplimo, for example, winner of the Chicago Marathon yesterday, and think, oh, I can do that. He seems so far and beyond comparable to me. He comes from a completely different walk of life. He's been transcendent in this sport since he was 17 years old. He's competed for Olympic medals since he was 18 years old. I mean, this guy, we're not the same. When I was 18, I was, like I said, getting my butt kicked at BYU practice. So it's a totally different league. And so I like that Clayton and Conner at least followed a similar path to me. So I can see the path to where they are because we're walking in the same path.
Back at BYU days, were you on the same level playing field as Conner Mantz?
Yes, because he went on an LDS mission. I don't know if you know that about him.
No.
So he went 2 years to Africa to serve a church mission.
Oh, wow.
And so when he went away for 2 years, he didn't run. And then he came back and I was better than him for the first time in my life. And I was better for him for the time we were better than him for the time we were at BYU together until the very end. He started to trend up again. And once I left BYU, he catapulted onto the scene, started winning NCAA cross-country titles, started really differentiating himself as the next great American distance runner. So there was a period where I would take it to Conner Mantz, but I could see it just as someone in this sport that though that was on borrowed time. He's a very exceptional talent. It's clear to see. And I could tell that he was going to continue to transcend in this sport. He just has something special about him, and you can see it when he competes for sure.
BYU, which you all went to, that's they have quite strict rules, don't they?
Yeah.
Do you think that had anything to do with you all being such successful runners now?
I don't think it hurts, but to be honest, I don't think for Conner, Clayton, or I, that's the big thing. For me, I chose BYU not for religious reasons. They chose it probably primarily because of their religion. They are members of the church that BYU is sponsored by. I'm not, and I just went there because it was the best school that wanted me, that was good at running, and it was that black and white for me. It's like, this school is good for academics, it's great for athletics, and I trust the coach, I trust the team to help me get to the next level. And it was a very pragmatic decision. I'm going to go there and try to get better at running.
Yeah, I think it must have helped your discipline a little bit, because you are a very disciplined runner. Like, you always say, if it's not going to make me faster, then I'm kind of not doing it.
For the most part, yes. I would say at that time, it was perfect for me. As a young, impressionable person, I do think it's good to have kind of this rigidity and this structure in place and this culture around you to help guide you. I have no doubt that it is in large part the reason why I am standing where I am today, and where I've gotten in this sport is in large part due to where I've been in this sport, which is BYU. BYU is indistinguishable from the success and the path that I had to take to get here.
Yeah. So your discipline to become as successful as you are, what does it really take to be you?
That's a good question. I feel like a lot of it has to do with just like no excuses, day in, day out, put in the work, run a whole lot of miles, run a lot throughout the week, twice a day, most days, Monday through Friday. Pretty much my schedule is run in the morning, run in the evening, Monday through Friday. do the workouts, do the mileage, run a lot, and eat a lot, sleep a lot. There is a rigidity in my structure to how I approach everything, and there is definitely discipline in there. But I think more than just like discipline in the sense of like routine, and I just check boxes a lot. It's not that sexy. It's not like I have this really regimented diet or this super strict pre-sleep protocol that helps me sleep deeper. Like I don't have anything fancy that makes anything I do special. I just think I think like in most things in life, I just show up every day with a pretty good attitude and do what I need to do on the day.
Yeah, you said you'd been running like 130 miles a week for Chicago. Have you always been able to just do that? How have you got your body to be like so resilient?
I think that is one of my greatest skills and assets. I don't think I'm the most talented runner in a lot of measures, right? Like there's people that look better when they run, like they have smoother strides, or they have better top end speed, or they had more success as a young runner. But I've kind of been able to, throughout my career, knock on wood, but stay healthy for the most part and be able to continue to push further and further and put more weight on the bar, metaphorically speaking, in terms of mileage and intensity. And I've been able to stack year after year after year. And I think those years are more important than those weeks, right? Like the 130-mile week, that looks great. That's really cool. And I'm proud of those weeks. But what I'm more proud of is this year, I believe it was my ninth year consecutive, over 4,000 miles accumulated in a year.
That's so impressive.
So I think that speaks more to longevity and like a macro sense of training, rather than like 1 week is tiny on the scale of what we're talking about. We're talking about a decade of consistency of being able to stay mostly injury free. Of course, I've had small injuries that have sidelined me for weeks or months, not really months, weeks or days at a time, we should say. I've avoided the months, but I've been able to just kind of chip away and stay really consistent. And I think that's kind of the secret of the sport.
Yeah, it really does show that you just doing the basics well really helps. Do you think people overcomplicate running?
They absolutely do. Running, that's what's so beautiful about it to me at this point. Like I've been doing it at a high level now for roughly 15 years. And I feel like I've learned so much, but if you peel it back, I actually just understand how simple it is. And I understand that, you run hard, you listen to your body, you run your easy days easy, your hard days hard, you consistently stack week after week, month after month. And it's not like I have this secret. It's just, again, it's really mundane and it's really boring. I love it, but that's what I love about it, is that it's predictable, it's consistent, and I just continue to do the work that's put in front of me.
And I really believe that, because you said before that running isn't a science, it's an art form. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, so there's obviously scientific ways to measure running and performance. You can take your heart rate, you can take your blood lactate, and I do those things. Those things matter. Those things are great feedback. But I think the difference between good and great in running, or moderate success or moderate improvement, and accelerating your improvement in this sport, is the ability to internally analyze information as it's coming in. Okay, if I run the next mile of this race at this pace, what am I going to feel like? Like, where am I going to be in a mile? Like, almost like taking in information, external, internal, and running like a process. It sounds a little scientific, but it is an art form to know when to push, when to pull, when to let a group go, when to back off your pace, when to press. And knowing what your body's going to do and learning how to work with it. What is this pain in my quad? Is this something that's going to be an injury, or is this just hurt for a day? And knowing when to train through that thing, when to get a massage, when to go see your physio. Those are all parts of the game that I feel like I've gotten really good at analyzing in real time.
Yeah.
And I think the people that are constantly hiccuping and in their sport and pushing and pulling and falling behind and then trying to make up, they end up losing touch with that. And that's such an important skill.
Yeah, I do agree. I think people forget to like listen to their own body because of all the data and all the numbers. And obviously it's our body doing the main thing.
Yeah. I can remember yesterday, I don't usually do mile splits. I usually like 5K splits because I don't like too much feedback. But since this was a time trial, this was a record attempt. We're going for fast times above all else. I was like, okay, more feedback's good. So I'm splitting my watch every time we go over the mile marks on the course and here in Chicago. And before it got hard, internally was like, I'm slowing down. This is hurting. This is starting to go in a direction that scares me a little bit. But the splits weren't reflecting it yet. So I was physically still running the pace that I was setting out to do, but I could feel inside that it was about to come undone. And I was able to kind of gracefully die in the marathon. Yesterday was like a pure, like I was dying for 12 miles of a 26.2 mile race. But it was a graceful death because I think I was able to kind of feel it before it was happening and kind of like slowly peel back, almost like I was bleeding out very slowly.
Yeah, I think we're just going to have to go into Chicago now because I just want to speak to you about it. So you were going for the Canadian records.
Yes.
When did you decide that now was the time to do that?
Yeah, so for reference, the Canadian record was 2 hours, 5 minutes, and 36 seconds. I ran 2:07:02 in Boston this spring. And that was a huge eye-opening breakthrough performance for myself. Got 6th place at the Boston Marathon, beat a lot of guys that have way faster personal bests than me. And it kind of gave me the confidence that I shouldn't be afraid of a record like this. In the past, I would have said, I'm pretty measured with my improvements, and I kind of like to be like reasonable and realistic. I'm an optimist, but I'm also a realist in that sense. And the 2:07:02 in context to Boston gave me the confidence to go, I can go for it. I can go for it, and I can at least confidently try and believe I have a chance without like it becoming larger than life. Because when you set a goal for yourself that is unattainable, you kind of know deep down. And when I kind of started to speak this goal out into existence, right, it filled me with like excitement and with the ability to kind of like want to work for it rather than this fear of, oh no, like what if I fail miserably? Those fears were happening still, but it was a quiet voice, whereas the loud voice was more, I think I can do this. And I ended up coming up short, still running a personal best here in Chicago. 13-second personal best from Boston, 2:06:49. I was on pace for that record through 30K, but I knew before 30K, we're not running the record today. Then it was survival mode, right? And I still feel like I feel vindicated in the pursuit of that because I think I made every decision correctly and I still ran a really strong race. And I can still see the path towards that time. I am not discouraged by yesterday's performance. I am encouraged because the process was there. Yeah. And I can see the pieces coming together. And I think it's just a matter of lining it up a little bit better and taking more cracks at it.
Well, as you said, it's like there's no secret. It is those small steps, being consistent. It must have been incredible. And yeah, so many congratulations. And you should be so proud. I think going from a 2:07 to 2:05 is a huge difference at this level. It's not the same as 2 minutes when you're just starting out your running journey. How much had to change, maybe physically and mentally, for you to really believe that was possible?
I think, again, it was more about the races than it was about maybe the training or anything I did in between. It was the process of, for context, Chicago, I went out in 62:20 through halfway, so 2:04:40 pace, which was a little spicy for the goal. But in Boston, we went out in 61:50 something, super, super fast, because Boston's not a paced race. You just race the people around you. And even though I fell back and slowed down in that race, I was like, wow, I didn't fall apart completely. And so that gave me the confidence to go, okay, now if I can fine tune some things, Chicago's faster, this, that, or the other, things can come together here. I think in training, I took a couple logical steps forward towards that to give me the confidence to continue to build on that. Running faster paces in workouts, finding creative ways to make workouts conducive for goal pace. I live at altitude in Flagstaff, Arizona. So a lot of the times pace is like a difficult thing to dial in because I'm having to somewhat adjust everything for 7,000 feet above sea level, 2,000 meters above sea level. And I feel like we just made all the little tweaks to make marathon pace feel a little bit more reasonable throughout the build.
Yeah. I think it's kind of good, like not being able to be dialed in on pace, because for me being like sub-elite, like I get so bogged down in paces, and I've never really been in a position to be like, okay, I'm going to race the people around me. But that's fun, isn't it? Do you enjoy that?
Fun. Way more fun. I get so much more excitement in the process of competing versus time trialing. Time trials stress me out. Like, it's just you and the watch, and success is measured in what that says and not what you feel out there. And I feel like that makes it more sciencey and less art. And like I said, I'm more artist than scientist in this sport. So I think you have to kind of know who you are and work with your strengths. Yeah. I think some people really get into the numbers and they let them dictate everything. But I wonder if people like kind of took like a real inventory on who they are and how, like, what makes them tick, if they could find more by changing the goal and changing the perspective and how they compete. And I wonder how much faster or slower certain people would run if they ran without a watch. Yeah. And they just kind of tried to listen to their body and compete with the people around them and compete with the course. Maybe like it is hard because if you're in the masses, how do you decide which of these hundreds of people on the road you're trying to beat or not trying to beat, right? Like you could get carried away there. It is a little bit different for the elites where they're up there with just such a select few.
But you're still in a pack. Like, was it different, the Boston lead pack to Chicago this weekend?
It was, and it wasn't. So in Chicago, the only difference between that and Boston, I had the ability to convince myself that things were going to change because of the fact that it's not a paced race. So when I was riding that line and I could tell it was a dangerous, scary race, pace, all that stuff, everything was kind of chaotic and fast and intimidating, honestly. Yeah. I could convince myself, well, they might slow down the next mile. In Chicago, they're not slowing down because there's a pacer. They're going to keep following the pacer. So if you're racing with these people and you're feeling like the pace is hard, they're not going to slow down. The pacer is still going to keep going. You know what pace they're going to continue at. So Boston, I was able to kind of play these mental games with myself. Oh, maybe the next mile we're going to slow down, because it is up a little bit more sporadic and random when there's no pacers. And so that helped me because I was able to kind of stay present and not think about the next couple miles. Whereas in Chicago here this weekend, when it got hard, I was like, these guys aren't slowing down. I better, because I'm not going to be able to keep doing this. So in some ways, that was the mental hurdle of knowing that once you take that ticket, you're on the train, the pain train, and it's just going to keep going.
When did the pain cave start in Chicago?
Honestly, like right around halfway. The race was immediately going to be like a challenge. I made it maybe another mile and a half, 2 miles on the group that I was with. And then I kind of started to slowly inch back, and there was no one behind me, no one within sight, and not very many people in front of me, right?
Yeah.
So it's pretty much no man's land the rest of the way. So almost half the race, probably 11 and a half, 12 miles of the race was just me with my eyes up on the road, trying to see if people are going to come back to me. The fear of maybe people are going to come catch me. I knew that there was a group that had gone out in 64 minutes through halfway, and I was like, man, if they're going to negative split, they might be chasing me. They might see me. I might be this like dangling carrot for them. So I was running scared of my own legs blowing up, of people coming from behind. And it was a real challenge. It was probably harder than Boston, even though the course was easier in theory. It was harder because of that mental hurdle of knowing I was going to run the last half of the race completely alone, and I was being chased, and I didn't know what place I was in. I didn't know what time I was going to hold on for. It was definitely more of a mental battle.
Yeah. Did you have to think about all these things before? Like, what if this happens? What's my plan? Or was it, Canadian record or nothing?
It was kind of Canadian record or nothing, but it's funny. Before the race, I said the worst thing that could happen is I get to like halfway and I am in no man's land. And then that happened, and it wasn't that bad. Like, it was still a positive day. Like, and I think that gives me a lot of encouragement going forward. Is the worst thing that I thought could happen kind of happened.
Yeah.
Barring like, the worst things are like a cramp or, stomach issues, the classic marathon problems. But from a racing development standpoint, my worst nightmare kind of came true.
Yeah.
And I was able to still run a personal best and have a pretty solid race. So
yeah, exactly. You still ran a personal best. Like, yeah, you can't be upset about that. Do you think almost it was not a blessing in disguise, but like has it given you more fire, like, and things to learn?
Yeah. I don't think I want to continue to put the record in the forefront of every goal I set, because I think that can be exhausting.
Yeah.
I think I kind of need to take a step away from that thought now and give it time again and let it kind of come back organically. So I don't think like next race is record chase. I think I'm going to take time to reflect on Chicago, kind of still digest the race. But it does give me confidence. I can see like I said earlier, I can see the path forward after yesterday. I can see, marginal gains equaling, a massive leap in time. The pieces are there. I still believe that I can run 2:05:35 or faster, which is what it would take to get this record. It's just going to be a matter of not forcing it, not letting it dictate everything we do, and still just competing for fun. Because at the end of the day, I get better when I chase what excites me, and so I'm just going to continue to do that.
I think it's so impressive how you can look at every race and learn so much from it rather than just like putting it behind and moving on to the next goal. I remember after Paris Olympics, I read a post that was like, I got more questions from this than answers. How have those races like helped your training? The ones that haven't gone quite to plan?
Yeah. Paris is out of recent races, the one that sticks out the most is like the biggest disappointment in recent years.
Okay.
So I obviously, like every runner that gets to a certain level, the Olympics was the dream.
Yeah.
Make the team, that's the dream. And I made it. I ran the Olympic standard by 9 seconds in Seville in 2024 in February. So not that long ago, 18 months ago. And that to me was like lifelong achievement. Didn't think it could get much higher than that. I was over the moon. But you make the Olympic team, you set these goals for yourself. You're like, well, what do I want to do now that I'm there? And I kind of had these like lofty goals of, maybe I could be top 10 or at least top 20. And I think I was 47th. And I felt completely unengaged with the race. Didn't feel like I had a puncher's chance. It was not special. Running the Olympic marathon was my lifelong dream, and it was the most underwhelming thing I could ever imagine.
That's so crazy. Is that because like it's distilled in all of us like that should be the goal? Whereas you have said like you have to find it fun. Like that's where you get the best performance out of yourself. Like it wasn't quite your dream. It's what's installed in us that is the dream.
It was the dream, but I think once I got there, the new dream had already been kind of created and the goalpost was moved. So qualifying was this euphoric experience. I cried tears of joy after that race, and I'm not a very emotional guy generally speaking, but that brought out a ton of emotion in me because this is something I'd set as a goal for so long. But after that race, I realized I was further away from what was going to fill my cup again like that, what was going to give me that same level of joy than I had thought. I fell flat on my face. I was probably, in reality, 3 or 4 minutes behind where I think I could have been and should have been, all things considered. And the people that compete in the Olympics, there's this kind of understood post-Olympic depression is like a real thing, right? you get there, you're riding this high, you come off, you got the blues, you're sad because you worked so hard for something, it's over.
Yeah.
Now what? It's the opposite for me. It was like this post-Olympic just absolute aggression. It was like this fire. I'm never gonna feel like that again. I want every race from here on out to be one where I'm like super proud of everything that I do and like know that I did everything I could to get to the next level. And I ran New York last fall, the New York Marathon, and it was a step forward from the Olympics, but it still wasn't quite there.
Mm-hmm.
And then I sat down with my coach, John Green, after New York, and I was like, we're close, we're getting there, but something's a little bit off here. And what we realized was that I have this skill that is like the ability to really, really push really hard in training very frequently, more frequently, more density. I can kind of do what most people would consider reckless in training, like train harder, train more, and put all these risks in there that are like injury risk, whatnot, burnout risks, and I can kind of just ignore those things and just keep going. So he's like, we're going to try to bury you going forward. And that's what we've been doing for this whole year, and it's worked. It was like this realization that, I'm doing well, but I think there's a whole nother level we can go to in training and survive. And we're using this skill that I said earlier in this conversation, this durability, this ability to train really hard, finally tapping into that and just saying, well, where's the limit of that? And we haven't found it yet. We've been pushing really hard this whole year, new heights and mileage, and we're still being appropriate with it, right? Like I'm not taking 20, 30% increases in volume. We're taking small jumps each time. But yeah, it's the excitement is there of we haven't found the limit in training. We haven't failed it to the point where we don't show up to a race.
Yeah.
It might happen in the next couple of years. And honestly, it might be a good thing for me to find that failure line in training.
Yeah. I think that's why it's so fun, like following your journey. It is that kind of like fuck around and find out in the best way possible.
Yes. My Strava bio is train insane or remain the same. And it's super cliche. It's funny. Like I say it kind of tongue in cheek, but I do believe it to some extent. Like if you're not willing to push a little harder, you're probably going to stay a little bit stagnant in this sport. And I was stagnant for years and I didn't know why. And I don't think it was because I wasn't training hard enough. I just think I wasn't willing, or I didn't have the right guidance to really challenge what I thought was fast, what I thought was hard work, what I thought was good. And I'm a personal coach. I coach people. When people like come to me and they're like, do you think I could ever run a 2:49 marathon? Could I ever break 2:50? I was like, absolutely, I think you could. But you have to be willing to do what it's going to take to get there. You're just going to have to be willing to do the things that are above your current comfort zone. You're going to have to take a step forward in volume or a step forward in intensity. There's going to have to be an add to take that next step. And that's kind of how I've been approaching my training is I have to add something if I want to get a little bit further.
Yeah. And that little bit further, what does the future look like for you post Chicago? Are you able to let us know any plans?
I actually don't have it planned yet, but I could guess that I'll run more majors next year. I'll probably run a spring marathon major. I'll probably run a fall marathon major. Which ones? Kind of, it's more the business of professional running that's kind of boring and it's complicated. Is the best way to put it probably. But I would love to improve upon this year's performances at majors. I got 6th at Boston. I got 9th at Chicago. Maybe finding the top 5 in something or continuing to take these big swings in races, going out above what I think I can do, holding on a little bit longer, or maybe making it all the way and being able to break through again. Those are the things that excite me, and we'll probably chase that every time out. That's going to be the high we're chasing, is just how far can we get in this race, holding on for dear life and hoping for the best.
Yeah, it's so great. And you can relate it back to like any runner at any level, like be excited by it and be brave with your goals.
Yeah. When I coach people, it's all about, you have to be excited about what you're going for. You have to want to do the work. It has to motivate you. It has to get you going every day, not just on race day, but throughout the training block. You have to be excited by it. And I can almost tell immediately if someone is on track to hit their goals based on kind of the tone of their voice when I'm doing check-ins and that. There's a difference between excitement and kind of dread and these types of things, fear and anxiousness versus like nervousness. And nervousness is a good thing. The fear is a bad thing, right? I was incredibly nervous before Chicago. The 2 days before, I felt like I was like standing on the start line for 48 hours almost. But it wasn't fear. It was just like, oh, I want this to go well. I'm excited. I want this to start. And there's like this tone that I think any runner can kind of carry with them throughout their journey.
Yeah. It's adrenaline. Like you're having fun. It's a great tip. And on that note, we're going to segue over into Coach Steph's coaching tip of the week.
Do you know that in order to keep getting fit, we need to spend a little bit of time getting less fit? You've trained hard, you've run a great time, you've hit your goal in your A race, and the momentum to keep training is so high. This is great, but at some point you need to take a break to allow your body to physically and mentally recover. As a coach, I recommend taking 2 to 3 weeks of kind of rest or light training. And yes, in this time you will get that little bit less fit, but that is okay. This will allow your body to get into a good place to be able to absorb that training again. And with patience, the results will come and you'll be fitter, faster, and stronger down the line.
Hey guys, this episode is brought to you by the Runna app, the #1 rated running coaching service worldwide. If you want to try the app today, use code podcast25 for 2 weeks totally for free. And please do remember to rate, follow, and subscribe to us on your listening platform to help us climb the rankings and so that we can keep bringing you the most interesting and amazing guests.
Thanks for that, Steph. I'm going to bring us back with a little discussion. You often say that if it's not making you faster, it's making you slower. Do you think that kind of discipline is something that you're born with, or have you trained that over time?
I think that that's something that I definitely said, and I said it probably more when I was younger. I think I've loosened up a little bit on that. I think that there's time and place for those types of energies, definitely. For example, after the race, I did a lot of things that might have made me slower, and that's okay. And yeah, I think that that's just something that's kind of in me. Like I'm pretty rigid, I'm pretty hard on myself, and I'm pretty type A. Would be so it's kind of just who I am, but I definitely think people can train this into themselves.
Yeah, once you put in the hard work and have that discipline, you almost get addicted to that, and I think that's how you train it.
Yeah, it's like a positive feedback cycle.
Okay, now this or that. So we have a few silly like would you rathers. Would you rather be coached by Kipchoge for a year, or train solo with no coach ever again, but you're always 100% recovered for your next session?
I think rather have the 100% recovered for the next session. I feel like that you would just become invincible.
Yeah. But do you think you need the coach to keep you like set on that path?
I think I've got enough experience to let it fly like that, but no. Kipchoge would be a fun coach for a year for sure.
Yeah, of course. But as you say, like, it's worlds apart. Like, maybe you'd actually relate and listen to John Greenmore.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay, would you rather set a world record but can never easy run again, or only be able to easy run again, so never set another PB?
Can I still run? I just have to run every run hard?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Then I'll set the world record. I'll just go on like tempo runs exclusively.
It's probably what you do. And lastly, would you rather shave the mullet or laser off the Canadian maple leaf tattoo?
Shave the mullet. Easy. I can grow it back.
No, forever.
Forever? I could find something else that could be somewhat... I've done a lot of things with my hair. I could figure it out.
Maybe that was the difference between Paris Olympics and then Boston and Chicago going well, because you had like
I shaved my head.
for
I
Paris.
shaved my head for Paris. Yeah, there is a seriously small part of me that is afraid to cut my hair.
Everyone knows you for like the luscious locks.
Yeah. I mean, now they do. I feel like, there's been many chapters in my hair journey. I've got I've always expressed myself through my hair.
Yeah, I think it makes you more aero.
Yeah.
And our final closing question that we ask all of our guests is, if you're designing your dream race, where would it be? What is it? Like the length? What food and drink is being served at the finish line? And who would present you with your medal?
Okay, let's start with where it would be.
Where and what?
We'll do it one piece at a time. I think my favorite race distance has become the marathon, so I do want it to be a marathon. And I don't want to run in hot conditions, as much as it sounds fun to put it at a tropical location just so that you're partying after and it's all perfect. I think it's going to be a lame answer, but I really like the big city races, so it has to be big city. And I feel like maybe this is my North American bias, but New York City is kind of like the greatest city on earth. So I mean, not that it's the New York City Marathon, but a marathon in New York City makes a ton of sense for me.
With pacers, or are we all just racing each other?
Just racing.
No
Definitely
watches allowed.
Definitely no pacers allowed. No watches either. That'd be crazy, actually.
That'd be fun.
And no mile markers. You just know where the finish, hey, there's the finish line. Maybe like just a blimp above it, and you can see it for a while.
I think I'd do quite well.
But we know it's a marathon, but no one has clocks on the course. Now we're workshopping something. I think that this would totally change everything. People would run completely differently. I think we all get, you run even in these elite packs, and you see people like split, look, check. It's like it's a cyclical process, even in a race like New York or Boston, where there is no pacers and time is kind of irrelevant.
Yeah, love that. Food and drink at the finish line.
I am a big fan of a Bloody Mary post-marathon. I think that's like the perfect recovery / intro to the party beverage, because it's kind of like a meal in a glass.
Yeah. I was like, that's the worst thing ever. And then I was like, actually, like, it's kind of what you want at the end. So
it's like a liquid meal.
A bit of fun, but a bit of healthiness.
Yeah.
I don't want any more sugar after marathon.
A savory only. I definitely don't want sugary stuff after a marathon.
And who would present you with your reward?
I'm going to say LeBron James. It's like my childhood favorite athlete.
So fun. We're right back to square one of wanting to do every sport.
That would be pretty cool.
Very cool. Well, thank you so much for chatting to us today. And I'm so excited for the future. And it's been an honor to speak to you. And so many congratulations for Chicago Marathon.
Thank you. It's been fun chatting.